Oh, I just came. I'll make. I'll make this short for real this time. I just came to talk to you guys. Like a quick 20 to 30 minutes. No, I'm not gonna stay for long. But I had some time before bed, so I figured, why not? Why not make a live? So I'm gonna wait for you guys to get in the chat so we can talk. There's this new guy. There's this new guy in the chat who is dropping comments that are really interesting. Hey, Deb, how's it going? Hi, how are you? But yeah, there's this new guy in the chat. He has like a Mexican flag as his profile picture. It's JMC something. I can't remember what it was after him after that. But he's been dropping some links on my videos in the comment section of my videos that are really interesting. The first information he let me know it was that Shock G, who most people don't remember Shock G, even if you listen to rap back then, like in the 80s, 90s, you might not remember Shock G because he was not a huge artist. But Shock G was the first person to give a platform to Tupac Shakur, who is probably to this day the biggest hip hop artist. But Shock G was the first person to give him a platform. Shock G had a group named Digital Underground. Digital Underground. They did a lot of interesting hip hop stuff. He also had a sort of an alternate personality called Humpty Hump, and he came out with a dance called the Humpty Hump, which was pretty popular at the time. But Shock G never actually made any music that was as popular as anything that Tupac came out with, and unfortunately, his fire burned out pretty quickly. He's what is considered to be an underground hip hop artist, or he was. God rest his soul. But Shock G was basically the leader of a group called Digital Underground, and Tupac was a backup dancer. Before Tupac was a rapper, he was a backup dancer for Digital Underground. And then um, at one point, they had a music video where they allowed Tupac a verse, and he was in the video as well. I believe his name was King something at the time. I can't remember. I just know he had a crown in that video. They were holding him up like some kind of sultan or something in the video. It was pretty interesting. It was very like imaginative, creative rap music. It wasn't like the gangster hip hop that we know today or anything like that. They were just having fun. They were having a lot of fun. It was fun hip hop. Anyways, but Shock G, who was the leader of yeah, I mean, Old Dirty Bastard was definitely Gangstalk. I mean, are you kidding me? Yeah. What's up, Unaverage Joe? I'm glad you're here, bro. But yeah, Unaverage Joe is saying that Old Dirty Bastard from the Wu-Tang Clan was gangstalked as well. Old Dirty Bastard had a FBI file like piled up. Like they gangstalked the hell out of this guy. Um, and when it comes to hip hop artists who have issues with substance abuse, right? Very often, law enforcement will see that as a way to sort of seep into their lives and sort of like leech off of them like parasites and hurt them at the same time. And they'll see it as a way of like, what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna tell? Uh, you commit crimes. You're an addict. We have you, right? Um, Unfortunately, Shock G was a very intelligent man. Shock G was very he was an activist more than anything, honestly. And he Shock G himself, he made some videos. Hey Lisa Rudgley. I'm sorry, I don't communicate through emails. If you want to communicate, if you want to send me some links or stuff like that, you can send them through TikTok, through Instagram or Facebook. I am the War Against Narcissism everywhere. On TikTok, there's no spaces. It's just the War Against Narcissism. I mean, there's no spaces on, Instagram either, that I know of. But there are only spaces between the words on Facebook, so you can find me there. Um, yeah. But yeah, Shagji made videos where he basically explained, that no, thank you, Lisa. He basically explained that he was being gang stalked, that he was going through a lot of street theater. I haven't been privy to a lot of street theater. I know on average Joe in the chat, I know he's been privy to a lot of street theater. I did get your page confused with another page I watched. Uh, but your pages are very similar, and what happens to you both is also very similar. But yeah, on average, Joe has been privy to a lot of street theater as well, trucks following him or cars following him, things like that. If I'm not mistaken, let me know on average, Joe, if I'm mistaken. But I do follow your page on average, Joe, and I do, watch your videos sometimes. But yeah, Shakji was saying that he was privy to a lot of street theater, and he said the word gang stalking. He basically he was like singing a song in his video, and he's basically saying to the gang stalking community out there who are participating in the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, the feds, in the federal government's cleansing of the words he used were cleansing of the undesirables, which is a very interesting term, and I'm wondering where he heard it from because I don't think he made it up. I think he got the information from somewhere. Uh, you know, Obviously, we don't have to discuss here whether this program is real. Everybody's sort of on the same page that this is real, this is happening. Though it is an unbelievable probability that the government would do something like that. It is happening, and it has happened before. You look at East Germany with the Stasi, which were basically the East German version of the CIA, and the program Zersetzung, where they would basically um, eliminate dissidents, eliminate whistleblowers. You have someone that comes into power and that has plans to do some things that are authoritarian, that has fascist plans. Of course, they want to discredit and quiet anyone that is liable to organize. And I mean, I'm not saying that all of us are being targeted by that or for that reason, because that's not the case. I'm Canadian. You know, uh, I just think that, these kind of programs usually will um, flower in situations where you have someone that comes into power and that is just okay with taking away people's rights and liberties in order to push their agenda and not be bothered, not have any pushback. Is there any other ways to contact you? No, I'm sorry. There's no other ways to contact me. This is it. You can contact me through TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or here. Uh, you know, I'm just not interested in contacting people with emails. It's sorry. I'm sorry. Um, my Facebook, like I said, I'm the War Against Narcissism everywhere. If you're on TikTok, it's the War Against Narcissism with no spaces in it. If you're on Instagram, same thing, or you could put spaces in it. You'll find me as well. And if it's on Facebook, it's the War Against Narcissism with spaces in between the words. You'll find me there. Um, Anna just says yes, very aware of the street theater, even when they aren't doing tactics, they still do surveillance. Yes, they still do surveillance. And I found that out that I was being surveillanced where I live. I moved maybe 6 months ago, something like no, 7 months ago. Sorry, I moved 7 months ago, and there's a park like they have like a tennis field, basketball field, soccer field, baseball field. Like it's a pretty big, a nice park in front of where I live, and I went to go park there to record a video, and then I had um, and I posted that video, and in that video, there's a guy who just parked right next to me, and he just idled there. And as soon as I pull out my camera to take a picture of him, he puts his hoodie on and hides his face, right? But what you didn't see and what I didn't talk about is that before he pulled up, there was a red, I think it was a Dodge Caravan, a red American car, American van that just was at the end of the parking for the park, and he just he started driving real slow, and it was a man and a woman. I'm guessing their wife and husband, and you could tell that this was the kind of car that um, has facilities to live in, you know, like there were blinds on the windows in the back. I mean, it probably wasn't a Dodge Caravan actually. It was more like a Westphalia, like a Volkswagen Westphalia. I'm hoping that I'm saying this right. A Westphalia. It wasn't actually a Westphalia, but it was kind of like actually it might have been a Westphalia now that I think about it. It was like a Volkswagen Van Wagon Westphalia. That's what it looked like. Anyways, there were blinds on the windows, and you could tell like there was more than likely a bed back there. And as they were, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. As they were driving off and exiting the parking to leave, the man and the woman looked at me, and they both um, flashed me the bird, and which I thought was funny and which was confusing to me, and I didn't understand because I had just moved in the neighborhood. Nobody was being weird to me, and I was waiting for people to be weird to me, but no one had been weird to me, and it had been months that I had been there. Usually, it only takes weeks for people to sort of be informed that an undesirable, I'm gonna use Shock G's term, has moved into your neighborhood, and I'll have people, act weird towards me, but I haven't had that. I mean, now it's the case. Now, some of my neighbors are acting weird with me, but at the time that wasn't the case. And they're coming out and they flip me the bird, and I'm just, like, oh, that's strange. And then the car that parked, that I actually took a picture of, that parked next to me, uh, was shortly after as started to record my video, and then I noticed another person that was just parked there and idling, and like I left to go to the store, and I saw his car, and then I came back, and when I came back, I decided I'm just gonna go through the parking because there's an entry and then there's like an entry and an exit, like two entry exits, I guess. And I came in from one way, and then I just passed by in front of him, and I looked at him, and then when I looked at him, he kind of like had a smirk on his face, and then at that point I was like, oh, okay, I know why he's here, and then I just passed him. I didn't stop. I just drove slow and looked at him, and then I left. And ever since I've been noticing that car being, in that parking that is across the street from my house. Um, so this is why I was like worried about like escalation, like vandalism and stuff like that. I'm guessing they're probably gonna try to, enter into my home whenever I'm not there, do some stuff or whatever, or just like gather some evidence of something. Who knows, right? Um, I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened before, but the point I was making when it comes to street theater and surveillance is I had never noticed that I was surveillanced before because I never thought about these things. And then when I start looking back, I'm thinking, oh, there was a homeless guy that like lived back, when I lived in a different city 7 months ago. There was this homeless guy who just lived in front of my building. Like there was like a bench, and he just lived there. He was there every night. Sometimes he was there all day long, and he just lived there. And everybody loved him in our neighborhood. Everybody liked him, like because there was a lot of homeless people where I used to live, and all the homeless people loved him. And he passed away. Unfortunately, he passed away um, on a cold night. I'm guessing from hypothermia. God rest his soul. Unless he's a gang stalker, obviously. But I'm wondering, maybe he was in on it or not. I don't know. But when he passed away, all the homeless people in the neighborhood brought flowers to his bench, and they sort of, you know, honored his memory, I guess. He never bothered me. He never did anything. But I'm just thinking to myself, like, was that a coincidence, or was it something else? I'm thinking it's a coincidence, but I had never noticed surveillance before until I moved, and now I'm noticing, like people actually like reacting to me. I had a guy once long ago, maybe 2, 3 years ago. I was driving on the highway, and I had a guy cut me off in traffic, and I just kind of threw my hands up like this idiot, right? And he slowed down, and then he looked at me, and I remember seeing his face. He just pulled out and pointed at me, and I just looked at him like, "Do it," you know. What are you waiting? Like, do you want, like, are you expecting me to like cry, crash my car, pull mine out? What are you expecting? I mean, I don't have one. But I was just looking at him like, yeah, throw your life away, do it. Why not? You know? That was before I noticed. I actually realized that I was being gang stalked, but I thought that was such a funny thing, and I don't think it's actually related. I think he was just some kind of nutcase that I ran into. But I do remember at one point I was driving for Uber, and my car was empty at the time, and this woman was following me, and she also flipped me the bird while following me. And I to this day I don't know why she was following me. She was looking at me, and I can remember her mouthing, "There he is," as she pulls next to me, and then she flips me the bird, and I was just like, "Come out! You're here. I'm here. You got me. You want to have a chat? You want to, you know, what's the point of following? What are you following me for? Come out, say hi. You know, whatever grievances you have, I'm listening. And if you want to do something else, we can do something else. Um, well, thank you for being polite, Mad Max. I appreciate it. That's very nice of you. I'm not being sarcastic, by the way. Mad Max asked me to read his comment and give him my opinion, and he asked very politely. I've had two people be very pushy and like, if you're gonna ignore me, I'm just gonna leave and whatever. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't owe anything to anyone. If you're not gonna be nice or polite, you can kick rocks. So I just want to take the time to also not just chastise people or block people who are impolite. I also want to say thank you, Mad Max, for being polite. That's very kind of you. I'm looking for your comment. Give me just a second. What's your Facebook? Gotta keep faith that this program will get exposed in our lifetime. The way things are going, I think it will, just don't know when. I agree. I agree. Um, I used to be, I'm gonna get to you, Mad Max, sorry. I used to be kind of, you know, uh, pessimist or skeptical. Sorry, English is not my first language. And skeptical in French is sceptic, which means something completely different in English. Anyways, the point I'm making is I used to be skeptical about or pessimist about the outcome of this program being discovered, but there are too many people being affected by this. It's being spoken of by too many people. With the and also with the Epstein files coming out, I also feel like within our lifetime this will be exposed. Within our lifetime, the only thing that I would say is don't expect other people to give you justice. If you can gather all proof of abuse, of conspiracy, of sabotage, and in due time, take these people to court. Somebody shared a video with me. I think it was JMC actually. I'm not sure, but I saw a video of a lady who basically said, civil conspiracy is illegal. If more than one person is plotting to affect your life negatively, that's civil conspiracy, and it only costs about $200 to take them to court for it. So gather all your evidence. When this crime is more easily prosecuted, be ready. You know, um, I don't believe that RICO has a you know not federal RICO but state RICO. I don't believe that state RICO have statutes of limitation. Let me check. The statute of limitation for civil RICO claims is 4 years from the date the plaintiff discovered or should have discovered their injury. Criminal RICO actions, never mind. It must be indicted within 5 years of the last racketeering act, though this can extend if the conspiracy continues. There we go. This can extend if the conspiracy continues. So there's your answer. If it continues, then it continues. You just have to have more proof that it continued. So when this crime becomes more easily prosecutable, be ready. You won't believe what happened to me after I talked to y'all in here. Hey, Harriet, how's it going? I'm good. I'm good. How are you? And I think it's connected. No coincidence. Hi, the perps. No, I'm trying to gray rock them. They keep using vibration sensation on me to get reaction. Do you have any advice how to not react to that? First of all, I'm really sorry this is happening to you. That's horrible. And second, I would say it's just like the last time you asked me, I would say you get good at what you practice. You get good at what you practice. Not reacting to something that you used to react to is very hard, but with time, you'll get better at it. I know someone who goes through V2K 24/7. I cannot understand how this person is functional and just ignores it. I'm like having a conversation with him, and I'm like, is it happening right now? And he's like, yeah, 24/7, all the time. It's happening. Like, I'm like, right now? He's like, yeah, right now. I'm like, so you're hearing me and another voice? And he's like, no, I'm hearing you and several other voices right now. I'm like, I would never be able to tell. So, like I said, stay. You get good at what you practice. Your power cut out. No power. No power out. How about you? The program already is broken. My girlfriend was on her way to the bus stop yesterday. She forgot her ID, but ICE took her. Damn. I believe this was planned. They abducted my wife, but she comes home tomorrow. Is she illegal? Or is she like going through the process of getting her papers? What's her situation? Good, I guess. What did they do? Oh, sorry. When you are dedicated to truth, you attract more truth. Ain't that the truth? Sorry. After I was in here the night before venting. Yeah, I mean, do I think it's related? I think that when it comes to DHS, because ICE is basically DHS, right? And DHS, I don't know if you guys have seen the Twitter of DHS, but it's very racist. They're like it's very obviously being run by white supremacists and American nationalists. Um, like it's actually pretty shocking. Like this is the government. This is a government organization. I mean, it's shocking if you don't know history, obviously. Uh, but yeah, I've always known that like, no, the government's pretty racist, but it's never been that open. They've never been that out in the open about it. Um, I feel like there's good and bad from that. When it's hidden, it's really hard to pinpoint to it and say, this is happening to me. But when it's so in your face, it's like it's easier to be believed, but at the same time, being believed is not the end all be all, and it doesn't do much if people don't do anything. Anyways, hey, we don't move in fear. How's it going? These perps love to creep and post up and just stare sitting in their vehicle. What these scum will also do is act like they're gonna hit you with their vehicle. Yeah, I've had that happen actually. Um, yeah, yep. I think it's very funny when people like sit there and like stare at you or like sit in your proximity or like stand in your proximity and just like follow you just to kind of be there. I stare at them. Usually when I stare at them, they stop looking at me. But I'll stare right back. I mean, I don't it's like 50 Cent said, right? I don't, anyways, I don't want to talk about that. But it's like 50 Cent said, I don't want any problems, but if you want a problem, no problem. you know? I'll stare at people. 'Cause it's not illegal to stare. I'll stare at you. It doesn't make me angry. It doesn't, um it doesn't upset me. I kind of want to see how you're gonna react if you're gonna do something about it. Because honestly, when people follow me or when people stare at me, like I honestly think they're cowards. You know, I'm like, what are you gonna do? Nothing. You're just gonna sit there and stare at me if you because you're the one who doesn't like me. I've never thought about you ever. And you know, which brings me to the subject I wanted to talk about actually. JMC sent me a link to a company that does revenge for hire, and that's what I want to talk about. They have like different programs that they sell, and it's being ran by law enforcement officers. These gems, but they do revenge for hire, and they were selling their products, and um, trying to convince everyone we're the good guys. We go after people who do other people wrong, and they have this program for $10,000 that is called Total Annihilation. And they were like, this program, we can't exactly talk about it, but just understand that this means we basically destroy someone's life. And they were saying like, oh, within our different programs, we'll destroy somebody's reputation. So, for example, if you come to us and you say that someone gave you an STD, we'll take a big package, like a big, you know, STD test package, and we'll send it to his job with his name on it. You know, which is diabolical. Machiavellian, right? Um, but as he was talking about it, he was very proud, and like the police officer who was talking about it, the ex-police officer who was talking about it, he was very proud and he was saying, getting justice for people is my passion, blah blah blah. And I was just like, you're talking about being judge, jury, and executioner here. And he was saying like he was being asked like, is this legal? And he was saying, oh, it's gray line. Like it's not gray line. It really isn't. There's no gray line about that. It's it's civil RICO. It's as a matter of fact, if the person who comes to you comes from a different state and you're doing it from a different state, it's not civil RICO, it's federal RICO at this point. It's a very serious crime being committed by, you know, ex or present FBI agent, ex CIA or present CIA agent, ex or present law enforcement officers of all kind, you know, police, state police, federal police. Um, I mean, I had such a hard time believing it. And it's what's really funny to me because this program is very much, I'm going to get to the comments just 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. But what this program is does a lot is it tries to shame you into believing that you're a bad person and that you deserve what's happening to you. They're very big into that, right? They're very big in shaming you and trying to get you to feel bad about yourself because you're less than perfect or because you messed up, you know, and completely disregard the fact that like we've been torturing you for, you know, years. And you know, someone who's being tortured is liable to lash out, obviously. Um, is just you're a bad person, right? It's all about this message, you're a bad person. And what really like shocked me was these people think they're the good guys. You know, whatever you think about them, they think that about you, but more, much more, because they're actually acting on it, you know? They're like, oh, this guy is, you know, a worthless human garbage, and we're taking him out. Total annihilation, right? And it's like, if you're the type of person to think of yourself as judge, jury, and executioner, and like dull out total annihilation to people for money, you're probably not the good guy. And you know, it was they said it's total annihilation. It's 10,000 like as a down payment, and then it's $500 per month um, until the target is annihilated, of course. Anyways, which I thought was really funny, and which would also explain why sometimes it, you know, it's it calms down and then it starts again. And he was saying, oh, we have bets, we make bets, you know, together on, you know, when is this person going to take himself out. And he's like saying that in an interview, like with proudly. I mean, of course he was hiding his face, sort of. You could make out who he was if you knew this guy, right? um but he was really proud of it, like, oh, you know, we make bets with each other about like when is this guy going to take himself out and stuff like that. And they were really proud of themselves. Anyways, yeah, these perps love to cry. There we go. I noticed the vehicle lurking as well. Good morning from Nigeria. Good morning, Jem Jem. For hours outside your house car on, please read my comment. Oh, sorry. Yeah. How many people do you got a problem with? I don't have a problem with anybody. Synchronicity. Yep. Yep. Better word than coincidence, ties seemingly unrelated events that turns meaningful patterns. Yeah, patterns is basically, um, you know, that's the thing with civil conspiracy. You know, it's just patterns. You know, you're often not going to be able to um, have any evidence that is damning. It's all circumstantial evidence. I mean, I'm lucky. I have been able to gather evidence that is very damning. Um, and and I do plan on taking these people to court within the time that you know, in the proper time, within the proper time limits. I do intend on taking these people to court, but a lot of people are not able to get damning evidence. You know, like I have evidence of a friend of mine, someone who was pretending to be a friend of mine, saying, "Oh, we're gonna do this and this, and we're gonna, you know, speak to this person to ruin his reputation." Like these are their words. Two of my friends, well, ex-friends now, obviously, and they're talking about that. They're saying to each other, to all, like it's three ladies talking to each other, and they're saying how, you know, oh, this person is a terrible person. And then the third person actually contacted a fourth friend of mine, who's still a friend of mine, actually, to try to recruit her and saying awful things about me, things that were not true for the most part. And I got lucky enough that my friend, when she heard all these things, instead of, joining in or turning on me, she sent me everything. She let me know, like, oh, these ladies are mad at you. They're saying this about you. And then she sent me everything. And of course, she tried to like delete everything. The person that tried to contact her tried to delete everything, but it was too late. I have it all. I have it on record. I recorded everything. Like, it's too late. I have it. I have the evidence. I'm taking you to court. There. Yeah, I'm not seeing it either. I agree, justice needs to be inflicted. Exactly. That's how I was too. A few years ago, someone pointed a gun at me while I was driving in traffic and insisted I hand him my purse. I did because my life is worth more. Yeah, I mean, if someone is robbing me, right? You can have it. Whatever you want from me, if it's material, you can have it, right? But if someone is just pointing something at me in order to get a reaction from me, like, you're just not gonna get it, right? I mean, the only reaction you might get from me is if you actually, you know, pull the trigger. You might get a reaction of pain, but I'm not gonna cower in front of you. It's just not happening. Um, hey, what's up, H Town? Hey, this is definitely spiritual elements. Yeah. Hey, Kia King, what's up? What is gray rock? We don't move in fear. Gray rock is basically respond, don't react. It's when you see someone um, make when you see someone make efforts to try to get you to react. Someone is pushing you and provoking you in order to get you to react. You basically you don't react. You respond. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Say you're divorced with children, and the father of your children, your ex-husband, comes to pick up the kids, or he's planning on picking up the kids, and he calls you and he says, hey, should I come pick up the kids at 3 today? And you say, we'll be here, you can come whenever you want. And then he says something like, oh, maybe I shouldn't even pick them up. Every time I pick them up, you always make a big deal. And it's not true. He's just saying this to get a rise out of you, right? And, you have options here. You can go, what are you talking about? Defend yourself, right? Um, or, get emotional and say, what are you talking about? I've never done that. You're lying, blah, blah, blah. And now he wins. He's got you because you're emotional, and he can take you through the ringer, and um, make you feel like the argument is about this, and then when you argue this point, he brings it to another point. No, it's about this, and it's about that, and it's about that thing you said, and it's about that thing you did 5 years ago, and have you chasing your own tail, as narcissists do. uh it's called circular arguments, right? It's just whatever you think it's about, it's not actually about that. This is about a miserable person who is basically trying to drain your energy, so that they can feel better about themselves. Because trust and believe, when they are able to get you out of your, off your square, get you to get you riled up, get you to react, get you to, you know say things and do things that that are not in your character. When they can create chaos in you, it creates peace in them. Of course, that peace is fleeting, so they'll do it over and over again. But gray rock is basically respond, don't react. I hope I was clear about that. They are 24/7 been disturbing me. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. She's American. We are suing. You better sue. You better sue. What? You better sue. You better sue them. She's American. So they're suing. They arrested her for what? For what? For exercising her rights as an American. You better sue. These people don't understand. As a an ICE agent, these people don't understand that, like, whatever you're doing this for is not going to be worth it, because you lose your your immunity as an officer when you go above the law and do things that are illegal, right? Um, and at that point, whoever sues you, is not going to take money from the department. They're going to take it from your pocket, you know. So yeah, gather all evidence, sue. I'm curious about V2K. I never ever hear a voice, but having organized harassment for 20 months. 20 months. I mean, I know it probably sounds like a really long time, but man, that's not a long time. I mean, I am sorry that you're going through this. I can't answer your question as far as V2K. I've never heard V2K either. I have a sibling who does hear V2K though. They just abduct folks on the street. Yeah, they do. They do. When they're sued, do they compensate? We'll see. We'll see. My girl is at the ice building right now. Yeah, we're all praying for your girlfriend, brother. I mean, where do you live, man, Max? Where do you live? There's ice prison. Oh, you didn't know? There's a network of ghost prisons, meaning prisons that like are being built, but there's nothing outside to say that it's a prison. It just looks like a warehouse from the outside. And they're building them all over America right now. And I keep telling people, once they've rounded up all of the immigrants, once they've rounded up all of the immigrants and deported all of them, what do you think they're going to do with these warehouses? Turn them into Walmarts? Most of them are built next to Walmarts. What do you think they're gonna do with them? Sell them? No. They're gonna find new targets. Who do you think that might be? You know? And this is usually when I talk to targeted individuals who are for ICE, which is not common, but it does happen. Um, I let them know, if you're for injustice, if you're for injustice anywhere, you're for injustice everywhere. Um, I don't mean to be rude, but if you don't think that injustice is wrong when it doesn't happen, when it's happening to somebody else, if you don't if you don't have empathy for people in how they're being treated by ICE, then why do you expect empathy for yourself? What's the difference between you and them? You have your papers. They're Mexicans. This used to be Mexico. Where you live used to be Mexico. Where do you live? New Mexico? Oh. Where do you live? Los Angeles? The Angels in Spanish? Anyways, I don't want to get into political debates. It's hard to debate people when you know you're wrong, when you know you're right and you know they're wrong, and they feel the same way, They feel the same way. They feel like, no, no, I'm right. I know I'm right, and I know you're wrong, but they're actually wrong, and they're not willing to like hear anything you have to say. And it's just like, no, I don't care that you think you're right. I don't care how you feel, as a matter of fact. I don't care what you think at all. You're wrong. Be wrong. Doesn't matter. Um, Chat, name a car for an edit. No. I approach them always and ask them if Mary or James just arrived. They act perplexed. That's a fun game right there. It's a fun game. I love talking to strangers. I love talking to strangers. Like I'll be with my wife in the mall and I'll see two people that look alike and I'll just be like, "Hey, are you guys related?" Or I'll see two girls that look alike and I'm like, you know, "Are you guys twins?" Or I'll see like, a person that is black but like is obviously from Africa and I'll be like, "Let me guess, are you from Burundi?" Like I just love talking to strangers. Like not having like long conversations with strangers, but just like very short. interactions with strangers. So that's actually not a bad idea. Next time I have a gang stalker, like if somebody's following me, I'll just walk up to them and be like, you heard what happened to Hulk Hogan? And they'd be like, what happened? What? Excuse me? I'll just be like, don't worry about it. Whatever. Like I'll just say something random. I'll figure it out. It's a fun game. Why not? Why not? Don't follow me. You don't want to be bothered? Don't follow me. What's wrong with you? Monitoring spirits. Have you not read the Bible? Who do you know who asks the only instance in the Bible where someone asked someone else to monitor someone else was Lucifer asking his demons to monitor the people that he kept, in chains. That was the only instance. Someone is asking you to monitor someone else, and you're just like, yeah, sure. I hope your soul is worth it. This happened after I was here venting. Yeah, there's a high likelihood that it was. I mean, you have to figure that when targeted individuals congregate, you have a lot of different handlers that are watching at the same time, and some of them might um, be operating from the same organization, and you're getting a lot of eyes on you by being here, and yeah, your girlfriend is gonna be fine, brother. She'll be out, and you'll have a nice little lawsuit. Just make sure you keep all evidence that you can and that you should. Speak to a lawyer if you can. When you're awake, you begin to see a lot and ask yourself, why am I here? I realize I'm different and people around think I'm a problem. Yeah, this is the experience for a lot of people that are being gang stalked. Usually, they're the black sheep of their environment. It's pretty, yeah. Uh, this is more spiritual than I thought, but they're watching. Yeah. Niccolo Machiavelli was one of the philosophers that saw the world for what it is, just don't appreciate how he is labeled. Niccolo Machiavelli was a narcissistic stain on the world, and every philosophy that he has is basically about how to be a how to be a bad person, you know? It's like, yeah, of course you can rule the world if you are willing to inflict pain on people. Niccolo Machiavelli is nothing to be to revere. He is a self-serving, manipulative coward. Sorry. I'm sorry if that offends you, but that's just my opinion on Niccolo Machiavelli. He was absolute like, of course, yes, there were some things that he said that were like useful, but for the most part, Niccolo Machiavelli was just a psychopathic narcissist. He was using people, he was using people as objects. He caused more pain on the world than he has caused, than he has done good, for sure. Do y'all think that you watch this page? I know they do. Who cares? Let them watch. Yeah, I think it's spiritual war as well. I'm going offline from everything soon. Won't make a difference, but if it makes you feel better, then you probably should. Moving out of cities, same. Yeah, evidence on them. Yeah, stalkers watch this page. They're in here now. I'm followed in army chats all day, every day. Yeah. You don't have to run away from anything. It's spiritual warfare. True. What is the best way to vet those who are safe or trustworthy upon initial meeting? Is time the best revealer? Yes. The answer to your question is yes. Time is the best revealer. And I always say, don't trust people. Don't trust people. Trust yourself. Trust in God. Trust God to give you the to give you judgment, to give you discernment, to recognize when someone shows you that they're not a good person or not safe, not trustworthy, and act accordingly. But don't trust people. The Bible says, trust not in man, like so many times. So many times. Don't trust people. Trust yourself. Trust in God. You gotta ask yourself what is wrong with them so badly that causes them to be that way. I mean, I know exactly what is wrong with them. It's ego driven. All of this is ego driven. It's all ego driven. It's very easy to dictate and control what people do and predict what people are gonna do if you trigger their egos, you know? It's all ego driven. And if you put the population into survival mode, meaning you make everything super expensive and you don't raise salaries and you create extreme poverty, then you're creating people that are in survival mode, and you know how people in survival mode are going to act. They are easy to manipulate. Philadelphia, but they took her in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania. I didn't know they were in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry this is happening to you. The BBC show The Prisoner. I don't think I have. No, I have not. Wait, this is not. It's a British show. Is this like a show from the 70s, 60s, the 60s, from the 70s? I haven't though. Sorry, I haven't. Her mom tried to get her today, but the person you show your birth certificate and ID to prove you're an American left at 4. They got there at 4 something, so they are staying the night in a motel. She will be free tomorrow morning. They are getting her out at 7 a.m. Good. Good. No blankets in it. Yeah, the conditions over there are pretty horrible. Horrible stuff. They seem to get off on that. Like they seem to enjoy them, like inflicting as much, hurt on people as possible. Mm. The things I would say if I, you know, if speech was truly free, it isn't on YouTube at least. Um, she'll be out tomorrow, brother. They call ahead to restaurants we're going to and have those people run their same tactics on me. They do the same thing over and over in every situation. When I go out, everybody always denies it. Yeah, they've done that to me as well. I had a moment when I went to the bank with my wife. She was going to the bank, and we're sitting there in line. We're standing there in line, and at one point, the person that's talking to the teller, because there was only one bank teller. The person that's talking to the bank teller stops talking very abruptly and looks at his computer, and you could see the lady that was being served looks at his computer screen as well, and they both turn and start staring at me. And I noticed that because like I noticed it's getting quiet, and like I'm looking right ahead and there they are, right? And I noticed it's getting very quiet, and then as soon as I noticed it got quiet and I'm looking at them like why aren't they talking anymore? They turned and looked at me. And I was just like, isn't that strange? And like they weren't looking at me like they were like this. And I was like, that's weird. What did they just see on that screen? But this has happened a few times with different at different businesses and things of that nature. People start to treat me differently, and it is what it is. You know. Uh, was you on Martin? Was you blocked? uh, Sent videos and Substack links to your Instagram. Thank you, Lisa. I'll check it out. Great job, President Trump and ICE. Oh well, you're in the wrong place. I lean on prayer to Most High and keep it in praise as much as possible, as it says in James when dealing with persecution. Yeah. Um, yeah. I do also want to remind you that David killed Goliath. I'm not saying to do anything crazy or against the law. I'm just saying, however, you can get revenge from the people that, if you can legally, by going to court, if you can get justice, get it. Like, I'm not letting this go. the people that have affected my life, I'm not letting it go. We're going to court. We just are. Period. Um, at least you are a strong one. Other targets can't find a wife or are alone. No friends and no works like me. Dang. You know, you're right. I do consider myself very lucky that I found my wife. Um, I don't want to sit there and give you dating advice because any dating advice that I give you is going to be depressing. The only thing that I will say is that it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game, you know? It's a numbers game, and when it comes to dating, I think the best advice I can give you is date who likes you. It sounds so simple, but date who likes you. You know, as men, we often find ourselves after chasing after women. I didn't have to chase after my wife. You know, even on on the dating app that we met, you can't even message with the women. They have to message you. You know, my like as much as and people in the chat will definitely attest to this. As much as I love my wife, I would do unspeakable things to all of you in the name of my wife. She loves me more. So, love who loves you. There's a saying in my language, "Reme mun ki remeo." Love those who love you. You know, don't chase after anybody. Don't try to impress anybody. Don't try to win over anybody. You know, if you have to chase her during the courting phase of your relationship, you'll be chasing her forever, and eventually she'll run away. So, love whoever loves you. That's my advice to you. Life will be much easier. Um, but you know, don't worry about is she your type? Is she, you know, I've never dated a woman like my wife ever in my life, you know. I I I mean, not that I dated a lot of, you know, anyways. But before I dated my wife, I had only dated one African woman. And shortly before I met her, I had dated, well, dated, I had been with maybe three Haitian women. So, you know, black women weren't exactly what I would have considered my type, though I think they're beautiful. But yeah, that's just my advice to you is forget everything else. Love who loves you. In order to have peace in your life, a man must choose peace. Loving whoever loves you is a very peaceful way of living your life. I don't have fights with my wife. I don't, you know, any arguments that we may have, even if I'm wrong, she will allow me to be wrong. And because she knows tomorrow I'm going to come to her and say, you know what? I was stupid. You are right. I was wrong. And I would like to apologize. Anyways, that's my advice to you. It's a numbers game. Talk to them all and love whoever loves you. I look like Felix from Stray Kids. You look like you got blocked. I'm sorry. You haven't had a bad doctor, by the way. We can't trust anyone. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Your channel is booming. Will you host a panel for other TIs to meet and connect, share our experience so we can have a global impact on gang stalking? I mean, I could. I mean, the issue is it could always get infiltrated. You know what I mean? I mean, I just blocked like three people now. You know? It can always get infiltrated. but maybe it's still worth it, you know? Where should I host it? How should I host it? Let me know. Dating many imposters and pretenders out there. Yeah, dating for women, dating as a targeted individual for women is way harder than because I've always said that dating for women is easier than it is for men. But when you're dating as a targeted individual, it's much harder for women than it is for men. Um, I'm not going to sit here and explain why. I don't think it matters, but it's definitely harder for women. Because as a perp, you have many different incentives to trick a woman into thinking that you're a good guy, and women that are being targeted are sort of desperately looking for someone who's good, you know, for some kind of connection. Meanwhile, men, is just like we get like as a man, you get rejected all the time, anyways. You know, so and it's gonna be hard for and women don't want us for our bodies. Women want relationships. So any woman that enters into your life that has an ulterior motive is usually going to show, you know. But for women, it's just like men lie, guys lie, you know, in order to get what they want. Anyways, I'm sorry you guys are having a hard time. Like, I will say that when I was dating, I also was having a hard time, not because I was being gangstalked, but just because dating is tough, especially if you have high standards. You'll run into a lot of people that you thought were good options, and then you're kind of like, oh man, I kind of liked her. That's too bad. But you get over it quick because it's a numbers game. You get back in the game. Um, don't text or email about anywhere you're about to go. They're reading where we are about to go and follow us. That's true. That is true. That is true. I had an experience lately that made me feel like they were reading my mind. I don't actually believe that they're reading my mind, but I had an experience that made me feel like maybe they're reading my mind because I didn't say or write about this anywhere, and I'm getting like directed conversation about it. I'm not gonna speak on what it is though, but whatever. My wife emailed me where she was about to go. They just so happened to be on the same street as her at the same time. Yeah, ICE is using the same spyware that the Israelis were using or are using. Like the Palantir and things like that. Pegasus. So they are spying on us. Like anyone that they arrest, they're not just like waiting for like to see you or like spying on you physically. They're actually spying on your electronics, The same way that they're spying on ours, they're using the same programs to spy on people that they plan to arrest. So yes, you know, if she Google mapped or talked about where she was going to be and at what time, then they knew this person was going to be there. And then this is a lot of times this is why ICE will knock down a door to go get someone, even though they're legally speaking they're not allowed to do that. Is because they know whoever they're looking for is in there because they've been spying on that person. um Obviously the arrest becomes obsolete, like it's like the evidence is like sort of tainted because no, you did something illegal to get that arrest. You have to arrest them while they're out, or if they open the door and they let you in. You can't just rush into somebody's home on the suspicion that someone of interest is in there. That's illegal. um but by the time you get your day in court and you're able to argue for that, you've been in an ICE detention center for like 6 months, and they kind of have what they want already. And if what they wanted was to take you out, then they'll have taken you out already. um you know Obviously it depends on who you are and what they want you for. But yeah, I've been new, but now I know. Now I really, really know this is a real thing. I'm not tripping. I'm not crazy. Yeah, you're not. You're not crazy. None of us are. I'm sorry, H Town Scott. Your K Scott. Your message got retracted. Maybe you wrote something that you shouldn't have. I can't see the message that you wrote to me. Uh, we're all sick of gang stalkers. That's why we're here. Yeah. I know your point of view, but I'm like isolated for many years. I never had one girlfriend because of bully, also because of me, and so with no human contact is even more difficult. I'm searching maybe for some clinics. I don't know what to do. Man, you know, um, there are some people who give dating advice. I don't know if you're like into the whole manosphere. They have a lot of them have like some pretty like out there ideas that I don't necessarily agree with, and a lot of them are actually very pro ICE as well. But some of the advice that they give, these Andrew Tate types, some of the advice that they give is actually pretty useful when it comes to how to attract women or how to not not how to behave with women, but just how to make yourself attractive. Um, so I would say that this would like, sample. Don't necessarily take everything that they say as like good advice, but what I would say is that, the advice you definitely don't want to take is you don't want to take advice from someone. You don't want to take advice on dating from someone who is not dating women, from someone who doesn't have, from like a man who's not like who doesn't have success with women or who doesn't have a successful relationship with a woman, right? A lot of times guys will go to women in order to get advice. And one of the sayings that I heard was, "You don't ask a fish how to fish." You know, women will say, uh, you know, when a woman tells you what they want, um, usually it's not like and it actually Machiavelli. No, it wasn't Machiavelli. It was Robert Greene who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, also a narcissistic psychopath. But some of the the things he said when it comes to dating were interesting. He said, "I don't care what women say they want. I only focus on what they react to." You know. So I think that some of these highly toxic people do have some advice, much like Machiavelli, do have some advice that is worth something. It's just important to be able to understand that, for the most part, they're not good people. You know, it's like you can use their knowledge for good in order to make your life better without hurting people. Because the way that they use the information on how to pick up women and stuff is they'll, cheat on their women and have a whole bunch of them at the same time and not tell, the women they're dating that they're dating a whole bunch of women at the same time. And it's just like that's dishonest. That's disgusting. And they feel justified in that, you know. Anyways, I'm rambling. They don't really get much on anybody. Most of the things they're spying on the electronics is already on the internet, so it doesn't really make any sense to use that as evidence. People are simply viewing others' content. Well, they do have stuff on some people, like hmm. Some people have committed crimes. Like for example, you let's say you I don't know, you commit fraud. You know, it's like it's a crime that like I don't like. I wouldn't personally do that, but I wouldn't judge someone who commits fraud, especially if you're committing fraud against like a corporation, I guess, or against rich people. I just see it like they screw us over anyways. I don't care, you know? But some people have actually done stuff. I mean, if you spy on one of the sayings I've heard was if you spy on anyone long enough, you can make them out to be a criminal because everybody commits crime. Everybody. And, anyways, whatever. Maybe Google Meet. You can create a link and people can join. Hmm? I'll check it out. They're reading minds. I agree with you. I mean, I'm not saying they're reading minds. I'm saying I feel like they might be reading minds. But I have heard from a lot of people that they're reading minds. It's just that I'm alone and with no job and no friends. I don't find no one to meet, and I'm in my town that is so small. Everybody knows me and isolates me. Well, living in a big city is not much better. It's lonelier in big cities, honestly. Um, some people are not corruptible. They're hard to find, but they exist. I pray you find. I pray you find someone. How do you know when it's successful? When what is successful? I don't know what you mean. I cannot talk to men. Are you are you into men? Why can't you talk to men? Do you not like us? I think I think for the most part men are likable people. I think for the most part women don't find men all that attractive, but we're likable people. For the most part. I think that, there is a small percentage of men that we are hyper focused on. But for the most part, men are pretty good people. People are pretty good people, should I say. When others relationships get any advice from successful couple. With others relationships, how do you know when a relationship is successful? Oh, that's the question you're asking. How do I know when a relationship is successful? That's a good question. Uh, a relationship is successful to me, in my opinion. A relationship is successful um, when when they fight well, when they argue well. You know, that's what I think. That's what I think is a successful relationship. When respect never leaves the room. When raising your voice is not an option. You know, my wife has never. You know, I mean, I leave room for my wife to be emotional, of course. But my wife would never expect me to accept disrespect, and I would never disrespect her. There are not many relationships that are successful, anyways. So, sorry. Um, there are fake nice people in the world. Yeah, well, this page is mostly at first when I first started it 7 years ago, 6 years ago. When I first started it, it was to help people um, sort of sort out who's who's for you and who's not for you. And one way to do that is to figure out how to figure out how to know when someone is fake nice in order to get what they want to get from you. Um, when someone is just basically operating from a self-serving mind state. And the number one way to find out if someone is being fake nice is to have a fight with them, is to have a disagreement with them, is to have an argument with them. And at that point, what becomes really important is, when someone shows you who they are, you really have to believe them and not give them a second chance. If like I'll give you an example. I was dating this girl. I went to go see her. She lives in Toronto, and I live in Montreal. I drove down to spend the week with her, and she's got kids, right? And her ex-husband, sorry, came to pick up the kids, and she wanted me to go open the door when he showed up. She was like, "Oh, he's gonna freak out when he shows up and he sees you." And I was just like, "Well, actually, I'd rather he not see me. Like why ruin his weekend for what? And I could see her getting upset about that. And I just told her, like, as a matter of fact, when he shows up, just let me know. I'll go upstairs. And she was like, "Oh, he's showing up now." And I was like, "I'll go upstairs now." And I left. And then for the rest of the day, she just kind of she was pouting. And then she became really mean for the rest of the day. And immediately I knew, oh, I'm never gonna see her again. And she didn't know, well, she could feel that I was like upset and distant. So like the next day, she woke up and she was being all nice and like, you know, she cooked and everything. And the whole time I was just like, no, no, no. You know, I believe you. You wanted to hurt your ex-husband. You wanted to use me to hurt your ex-husband, and you became really mean towards me because I wouldn't allow you to use me. You are not the kind of person I ever want to be around. So it's just a really it's a skill. Discernment is a skill. You kind of learn it through experience, but it's important to let experience teach you and not let experience break you, right? But yeah, when it comes to dating, if you keep in mind that um, dating sucks. If you keep in mind that dating sucks and that's okay, because that's what dating is. In order to find gold, you have to, you know, go through a lot of dirt. That's dating. Most of the people you meet, you're not going to work out with. Most of the people you meet, you might end up being only friends with them until you learn that they're actually not good people and you're like, I don't even want to be friends with you. That's what most people you meet are going to be in the dating world, especially if you're over 20, if you're over 30, sorry. Because most of the people who can make a relationship work are making a relationship work right now. You know, whoever you're fighting in the dating world is the leftovers, and it's unfortunately, you might be a good person to date, uh, but most of the people in the dating world are not good people to date. That's why they're in the dating world. If they were good people to date, if most people were good people to date, they'd be dating. So if you just keep in mind that this is gonna suck, this is going to be a terrible experience, and that's okay. That's all right. You know, once you show me who you are, I'm going to believe you and move on. I'm not going to chase after you and try to convince you that I'm a person who deserves respect and consideration. No, it's like, I deserve respect at all times. And if you disagree, that's okay, but you can't be around me. You gotta go. You gotta leave, you know? So this is the dating advice I would give you is just remember that it's gonna suck. Most of it is gonna suck. And that's all right because the more people you date and reject, the closer you get to the person that you're supposed to be with. Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate the ketchup chips. Ketchup chips. That's actually Canadian. I heard that you guys don't have ketchup chips in the USA. Is that true? Someone told me I was Spider-Man and he was Batman. Well, that would make your coochie dry, wouldn't it? That's what kind of game is that? Y'all got ketchup chips in the USA? I thought it was only Canadian. Oh, so you never heard of it? Ketchup. Yeah, you sent me ketchup chips. Yeah, it is. I'm right. So Lay's makes ketchup chips, and ketchup chips are actually pretty popular here in Canada. Like it's not like barbecue chips, regular chips, ketchup chips. They're always available, and I've come to find out that the USA doesn't have ketchup chips, and ketchup chips don't even taste like ketchup. Isn't that weird? And if you ask me what do they taste like, I would tell I don't eat that shit. I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's a weird, like it's like it's bad. It's weird. It's definitely strange. It is strange for them to say that they're Superman and you're Batman. But I would definitely say that has, you know, this person has no game. But people who are charming, you should be worried about people who are charming. That should worry you. When you meet someone who's charming, I know as a woman, you're going to be like, "Oh, this person is charming. I like them, and I wanted to work out with this person." But people who are charming are usually hiding something. People who are charming are usually suspicious. As a person who studied narcissism, when I meet someone who's charming, I'm always like, "What's up with you? What's what's going on behind that? What are you hiding?" Um, Narcissists are extremely charming. Narcissistic men and women are extremely charming, and they say what you want to hear, and they know what you want to hear, and they probe, they test to see like what kind of personality do I have to invent and create right in front of you in order to get what I want from you. And then as soon as they get what they want from you, they revert back to whoever they are, you know? Um, yeah. Just because he's awkward doesn't mean yeah, you're a Batwoman. Deb is funny. Um, but yeah, just because he said something corny doesn't mean that he should be ruled out. Um, but that is corny. I will say that is corny. Yeah. The way that I met my wife is she messaged me, she was like, "Hi," and then I saw her and I was like, "Boy, that girl is pretty." And I thought she was Haitian, and because her name is like a Haitian name. I mean, it's a French name, but the Haitians speak French, and she's from a West African country that also speak French, so she has a French name. And when I saw her name, I thought she was Haitian, and then we started talking, and I just ran the same game that I ran on every single girl that I talked to. I told her, "I'm gonna guess who your high school crush was." you know? And I said, I'm gonna ask you 4 or 5 questions, and then I'm gonna guess who your high school crush was. And I asked her, is he white or black? She said black. I said, okay, is it a movie? Is it an actor or a singer? And she was like, it's a singer. And then I said, does he rap or does he do R&B? And she said R&B. And then I asked her, and then I said, is it Usher? And she was like, yeah, it's Usher. How could you possibly know, right? And I was just like, because you were in high school and you're in your 30s. Every girl had a crush on the same person, on the same like 12 people. It was either DiCaprio, Usher, um, Nick Carter, you know. Like you all like the same person. It's not complicated, But anyways, that was my game, right? That was how I got girls interested in me. They were like, this guy has some talent, and it's just like, no, you all like the same person, And even if I didn't figure it out, I would twist it into like, oh, well, I failed the game. I didn't guess who your childhood crush was. So now I have to, I owe you a date. I have to take you out on a date, It's just like the end goal is let's meet. Let's figure out if I like you or not. And that's such a different way of dating. Uh as a man, often we try to get women to like us. Or even as people, we try to interact with people in the hopes that they'll like us. And I completely changed my way of operating. Now I'm always operating from a place of, do I even like you? You know, which makes it really easy for me to not be upset when people don't like me or when people, use tactics to gang stalk me because it's just like the only thing you're confirming to me is that you don't like me. And, however much you don't like me, I don't like you even more. But the difference between me and you is I give you no energy because I don't give energy to people I don't like. I'm not like you. That's why I don't like you. Anyways, I can't stand being around gang stalkers, but more importantly, I don't like being gang stalked. Yeah, me neither. Waiting for the argument and the real tests. Yeah, I mean, Conflict is unavoidable, and conflict reveals character. Just, don't shy away from conflict. I'm not saying create it, but don't shy away from it. If they ask you something and you want to say no, say no. That's conflict now. They didn't get what they wanted. Let's see how they react, you know? I mean, everybody deals with disappointment differently, but saying no to someone when they want something is not just disappointment. It's also creating boundaries. And I am not an extension of you. I have my own feelings, I have my own desires. And in this moment, our desires did not coincide. How do you deal with that? In an adult fashion or like a baby? You know, I'm your father now. If you want dating advice, you come to me. I'm joking. I'm joking. But if you do want, dating advice, you can come to me. I'm just not paying child support. Sorry. uh, as the days get closer, the path becomes more narrow. The people become colder. Even those you trust or believe are real are all falling for the fire. Some people are not corruptible. Some people can't be corrupted. They know too much. They know too much about secret police. They know too much about history. Some people cannot be corrupted. They're out there. I think about what motivates people, who influences them, the type of conversations they bring up when it comes to if I like someone. Yeah. Well, guys, I've been here for an hour and a half. I said I was going to be here for like 40 minutes. I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna head off. What's your thoughts on prophecies? I don't think about prophecies. Um, it's ketchup chips as a gift on here. Yeah, any gift is nice. I appreciate it. It's very kind. Um, I just want to say, real quick, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Thank you guys for being here. As much as I do this to help you guys, hey, Chelsea, congratulations. Congratulations. Wow, that's amazing. When did you find out? But yeah, I just want to say, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for 2 weeks ago. Wow. Dang. Congrats. That's awesome. Uh, hey man, you got it. So geometric, you got it. Uh, this Thursday. Hey, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday in advance. Well, I just want to say thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting. As much as I do this to help you guys, it also helps me. It helps me to talk with people who are going through the same thing as me. And this is why I keep coming back in the chat. Even sometimes I don't have anything to say. It just helps to have the experience of sharing and speaking with people who are going through the same experience, because in our day-to-day lives, most of us do not have someone that they can speak to about what's happening to us. I'm lucky enough that I can talk to my wife and tell her something as crazy as I've had an experience that makes me feel like they're reading my mind, and she doesn't look at me like I'm a nut job. She's like, "Oh, that's noteworthy. We're gonna keep this in mind," you know. Um, but a lot of us don't have that, and I think it's important to have that sense of community where, this creates a very high feeling of isolation, um, of dread, of impending doom, which is not the case, but it creates that feeling. And I also, it creates a feeling of isolation, which is also not the case. We're not alone, but it creates that feeling. And these are feelings that, that are very low vibration, and that, that hinder us from operating on a day-to-day basis at, at 100%. And we don't want to do that. When you know that there is a constantly growing army of people that are trying to sabotage your life, you have to be on point every day, or at least not do anything to sabotage your own life, at the very least. So I think it's important to have like a sense of community, and speak to people, to other people who are also going through the same thing we're going through, because it does help. It does help to relieve this feeling of impending doom. It does help to relieve this feeling of being isolated. It does help to make you realize you're not alone. Very far from it, actually. You know, um, the first video I made talking about gang stalking on my page is now sitting at 40,000 views. you know um the comments are endless, the shares are endless. A lot of people are going through this. So um thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the community. Thank you, not just for the other members. Thank you on my behalf. And I'll talk to you guys soon. As always, you deserve grace, you deserve mercy. Love yourself first, always. See you soon.